Hello. Yeah. Uh, this is the podium mic. My slides are going to be there. So I'm just using uh, this part of the stage so that I can refer to my slides better. Right at the onset, let me thank Mukta Charitable Trust and Foundation for inviting me here today as one of the speakers. And since I'm going to be the batswoman with a whole lot of others following during the day, let me see if for this engaged target audience here, that I can do justice to what they've trusted me with. Now, many of the speakers who are going to be here today, I know them through my multi-sector work. So I'm happy to see senior psychiatrists, Dr. Mahajan and Dr. Panchanadikar and Ms. Smita Karve, who also works with them. And Dr. Shirisha Sathe, who's going to speak on the psychosocial lens, pretty similar work, hers and mine. And there's Shraddha Dev, Sneh Foundation, for whom I've done many trainings. So I'm very happy to be amongst my sisterhood and brotherhood of and otherhood of mental health people. And in the audience, I see my own students. Yeah, they're there, my alumni, and several other people whom I have met at some point of time. I would like to congratulate Dr. Rupa Agarwal and all the trustees for taking up. I'm aware of their work in HIV/AIDS, since I've done some work with those working in this sector as well, the organizations. And I'm really happy at this initiative of foregrounding mental health now and doing it in a bottom-up fashion rather than the usual top-down fashion. So what I'm going to try and do in the 30 minutes, because I want to take at least a couple of questions, difficult questions that you all pose me with. Because what happens to some of us, 30 plus years of work, and we are wrapping our heads around too many things, newer approaches, newer engagement has to be sought. So I'd rather leave this auditorium with food for thought. So I'll keep time for that, because as usual, I've tried to put in too much. And my alumna here knows how, I don't know whether that is a compliment or a backhanded compliment. My students, researcher teams of youngsters say, whatever you do is too intense. But no, it's a nice, chilly winter warming. Everybody's had breakfast and tea. So let me see what I can do with my intensity quotient. So I play multiple roles. Of course, the first one is that I'm an educator. And the multi-sector work is what you'll see reflected in the session I'm going to do with you all today. My session, again, is not going to be just factoids, because they will be there. People from various backgrounds in mental health are going to be talking about their work. I'd rather set a tone or try and change some prevalent perspectives, because there are students who've already done psychology or MPSW or whichever mental health course for 5 years. So I want you all to pause and question. And those who are moving into private practice or any other community work, please try and engage with some of the issues that I'm going to unravel. Yeah. So this is the backdrop against which intersectional approach in psychosocial health has become imperative. Latest World Inequality Report, Oxfam report, is telling us that all over the world, including India, rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And we know who has least access to mental health. So our task has multiplied as we speak. This is something we've been aware of, India and suicide. Previous reports, an old one, the WHO report on suicide imperatives in 14 had already forecast this, and we see that happening. My own approach is not to wait for disorders, but do work around distress itself. Yeah? So distress comes out first, and if we engage with distress, as I'll go on further, I'll expand on that, we will be able to address things better. Uh, Again, some of us with more experience have been struggling with this, that our ratio of mental health professionals trained from all these mental health faculties, disciplines, is always going to be skewed, looking at the population and professional ratio. So we are never going to be even. She's changing it, don't worry. Okay. Because then I'll have to do two things. No? Yeah. So serving the underserved, not simply continuing to reach those who already have access and so-called awareness. And community mental health services are therefore a huge need. And therefore we need to revamp, set our own house in order, see what we can do better and differently. Okay, so this is my brief. Ketki already gave a one-liner and told you Kimberly Crenshaw's name. So first, what is intersectionality? But I don't have a 2-hour class here, so we are not going to go into all the details. I'll give you references and I'll supply people with more references, those who want to engage better. So yes, these two women from across the globe, one, as you can see, Kimberly Crenshaw, an American lawyer, legal rights professor, activist, and her foremother, Sojourner Truth. They worked on gender and race. So one intersectional dimension has been there for more than 100 years across the world. But do we wrap our heads around it? So is intersectionality then simply Western? Does it only engage with race, gender, regionalities? No. In the Indian context also, lots and lots of work has happened using similar terms, and I've brought you names of parallels from India, and you can read their work also. So there's all of us in higher education, those who managed to study Savitribai Phule, and young Mukta Salve, and a colleague and contemporary of mine, Sharmila Rege, people who engage with gender and caste. Okay? So then what is this intersectionality? So while we work as psychologists, psychiatrists, or other mental health professionals, we are looking at, homogeneous individuals. So we address them as people. But are they people, generically same? Now, we all have so many multiple identities, isn't it? Do you all agree with me? And you all have now cyber identities as well, right? So that complicates many more things. But meanwhile, so intersectionality, as Crenshaw and several others define, it includes your caste, your race, in the West, religion, region, nation, class, sexualities, and more, and disabilities. So a lot of disability sector workers are saying that all our work is so ableist, right? Right now, this very auditorium, or even the auditorium of my institution, who has access there and who doesn't? So right now, right here, we are some privileged people and we forget the rest. So intersectionality includes all of that. Slightly more difficult terms. So social economic capital. So Ketki in the beginning said, and while I was having tea, Dr. Rupa Agarwal agreed that where awareness is there and affordability is there, yes, we have made more strides. But we have to, again, look at our intersectional identities, both in terms of whom we service and who we are, we as practitioners also. So yeah, these are some things around intersectionality. So we are not looking at a person, we are looking at somebody who comes, or communities also, or groups, when we are working in different settings. We are looking at so many myriad aspects of their identity, okay? And do we fathom that? Are we trained for that really, okay? So these are questions we have to ask ourselves, and you can see how many parameters, how many aspects of our own identity. Are we rural, urban? What language do we speak? So at the end, I'll share one small anecdote, and that is my usual experience as a community psychologist. But remind me, while I was on my way, I had an experience which was an intersectional experience. I wouldn't have had it if I didn't have this approach. Now, coming to the brass tacks, in mental health sector, psychosocial health sector, then how do we apply it? What do we do better? Those of you who are in training or who are trained and they're already working in spaces, we address a person, an individual. You might use different words. But who is this person? Okay, so they come with these multiple identities and our case history taking. Okay, or if you are in community settings, do we know what happens when these intersections intersect? Okay, for example, a migrant worker, where has he or she come from? They've come here for employment, and they come with their own language and culture. And when they face mental health issues, what is it that we are addressing? So many different things, and we have to come to that. So a psychosocial lens, all right. See, it's a popular mantra, right? Biopsychosocial. Yes or no? Everybody? Yeah, we have it for 10 marks in all our curricula. Yeah, we've set it there. We have tried to have resources around it. But is it working on the ground? Because the psychosocial then doesn't have intersectional approach. It simply talks about this human being within families, but what sort of families? We know they are not the same, right? Yeah. So again, looking at the complexities, so I would like to, underline that the psychosocial is as complex as the biological, with due respect to people from medical sciences. So while we don't have concrete answers for the biological or the neurological, we don't have very simple answers for the psychosocial also. And that's why that gap remains between practitioners, whoever they are, private practitioners or those who are doing community work, because we are not asking the right questions, okay? I might sound provocative, but yeah, now I'm an impatient person after 30 plus years, so I want to sound provocative. So low income group, and have we really learned anything in the pandemic and post-pandemic? So I'm borderline cynical now. As a practitioner, it would be a professional hazard to become cynical. So I'm saving myself and saying, no, not yet, we are not that bad. But how well were we addressing low-income groups at that time? Just 4 years ago. And even before that, our track record is not too great. So yes, poverty and deprivation. I know there are a lot of students here. So when we learn psychology, the general tendency, or even in MSW does slightly better. But most of our courses, we say poverty and deprivation is to be studied by whom? Yeah? Sociologists, economists, political science people. But hey, when you're doing mental health, it is multidisciplinary. And if you haven't got there, then something is seriously wrong. And I can go on and on my specialty, that is gender and psychosocial health. But I won't. I have just highlighted some of the issues that are coming up. Now, working in community settings, so some years ago, I did a project for Karve Institute. Since I work in the social sector as a psychologist, they invited me. They didn't want vanilla psychologists. Vanilla psychologists is those who are not aware of all these differences on the ground, जिन्हें पता नहीं है कि बहुत सारी चीज़ें बहुत अलग होती है अपनी ज़िंदगी से. I was told to speak a little Hindi also, so fine, I'll use my Hindi. और हम अपनी खुद की आइडेंटिटी के साथ फील्ड में जाते हैं. So Karve Institute, being mindful of this, invited me, and I had prepared a psychometric tool where we were testing their attitudes. We didn't want to directly call it prejudices. So we were testing their attitudes at ground zero. So when they began the course, what are our different ideas and wrong ideas about caste, class, gender, rural, urban disparity, etc. So I tested that and I found many causes for concern. And then we worked around that to model better social workers who have to go into the field and work in mixed communities, where there are going to be people of different religions, backgrounds, with many other conflict areas. So I think there, this approach was seen, and I hope more and more psychology departments and several others wake up to what is happening on the ground. Now these are, let me be mindful of time, these are the changes that one would want on the ground. Our practitioners have to check for their own lack of information. Okay? Information about caste, class, gender, sexualities. In a world full of majority of straight people, how are we responding to genderqueer persons? So are we doing well on that ground? Are we able to be accessible for those who do not have sexual identities like your own, and similarly other identities? So many, many prejudices exist in our own minds. We are not some kind of divinely ordained, empathetic persons just because we are reading or training on these concepts. So we need to revisit non-judgmental and empathetic. I have again provocatively written PLU over there. That is, PLU stands for, anybody in the audience? People like us. We relate the most to people like us. And what are our sources of information about those who are not like us, whom you're going to see more and more on the ground? At the best, web series. At the worst, memes. And if you're talking about older people, they'll simply say, I don't care. You know, I'm already empathetic and very, very non-judgmental. तो हम जब ये करते हैं, हमें एहसास भी नहीं हो रहा कि हम इस तरीके से behave कर रहे हैं. So questioning our own privileges. Yeah, if we come from upper middle class and the rest, we are privileged practitioners, privileged people working on the field, and हम relate कर रहे हैं जिनके पास कम privileges हैं या अपनी वाली नहीं हैं. So training needs to incorporate this perspective. What happens when you move across cross-section of people who are going through several mental health issues? Can you relate to somebody who has way less money and has lost a job and keeps on losing a job and is therefore extremely insecure? Or do we say, हाँ बहुत low self-esteem issues हैं इनके? क्योंकि आपका meaning of low self-esteem और उनका बहुत ही अलग होता है. Those who come from scarcity and those who come from loss, you don't actually have to go through it, but empathy is a practice. So you have to move around and see how other people live, and only then you can engage with them. And yeah, so something that was said, Ketki said it right in the beginning. It's my favorite phrase, that as we work more and more, because see now more work is happening in community mental health. And it has increased twofold in the last 4 years. So working with and not for underprivileged. So even community-based organizations, sometimes without realizing it, we become very, very top-down, okay? Because we look at them as needy people whom we are servicing. And that doesn't help. My own experience of working across grassroots level organizations with people is that those who come from scarcity, want, and struggle, we have a lot to learn from them. And our own mental health improves because the most important thing that we learn is we get a sense of proportion. We get a sense of proportion from those who are struggling. So yeah, so many of these things, yeah, now there are some private practitioners already sitting here, and a whole lot of students want to go into private practice later. Wonderful, fine. We are going to need more and more people in the treatment sector, in the curative sector, sure. But I've put a word here, sliding fees. That means you charge people according to their affordability. I'm really losing it when I read of many, startups on mental health that have come up in the last 5-7 years, where even interns are charging 2,000, right? And then better professionals, more experienced, are charging something like 5,000, okay? So your hands-on practice is making some people guinea pigs, and for that we are charging them 1,500 or 2,000, whatever it is. So I think we have to, those who are private practitioners, I'm only a part-time feminist psychotherapist because I draw a salary from an academic institution, but I do see people twice a week because otherwise how can I teach therapy? I shouldn't be, like it's in the West. But I have a whole lot of pro bono work, free work for those who are really needy, and then those who can pay, subsidize the others. And what are the challenges? More and more service provision for the underprivileged, okay? People who don't have accessibility to come to you wherever you are, and more community care. So the pandemic has woken us up, hopefully, to this fact that how do we empower communities, and I'll expand on that a little more. I have some time, no, and for questions. So, according to me, as an intersectional feminist psychologist, the way ahead is, especially young students and new career professionals, I would urge you to do more preventive work. More and more organizations that have stepped in, or those who are stepping in to the mental health sector from the community initiatives point of view, we have to do more preventive work going ahead. Looking at data, that is what I see. My fellow professionals have come from a hospital setting where all the curative work is done. Fair enough. People will keep going there, but the rest of us who are trained for other things as well, we are trained for preventive. So why are we not using that? I'll give you a very gross example that child-adolescent problems are increasing, sure. We know all of them, mobile addiction and so on and so forth. But I see, a connection between good daycare. So daycare, creches are the need of the hour, where many employed couples are sending their young kids. So why can't psychologists create this as a better service, where you work with child adolescents, not with children and adolescents, not in curative fashion, just diagnosing ADHD all the time, but you help in preventing it with engaged services. Similarly, you can give them interactive services. Using my age as an example, when I came first to Pune, I had seen, some of them are still going on, many activity centers which were not charging too much. Many of them were free for all age groups. That has vanished. Productive engagement across age groups, and then we are grumbling that why have many of the problems in our head increased? Because we are not putting our hands and heart to better use, okay, from an early age. So I see a lot of space in preventive work. Thankfully, many of my students and mentees have listened, and they are moving into this, rather than all of them becoming clinical psychologists who want to get an MPhil and who want to sit somewhere and practice. That is needed. That need may not go away, however much I might wish. So more and more preventive work is really essential. Something that has worked, so in my own institution, Modern College Ganeshkin Autonomous, last 32 years, we have a functioning counseling cell, okay, with 2 trained people, and I'm there for critical care. But we are running very, very successfully a student peer support group, where all of us staff members are facilitators. And in rotation, trained students keep this going. And I look at that as preventive work. And there's Deepali sitting there, there's Shreya, all of them have been Disha coordinators, where we learn to listen, we create those listening circles, so that the counseling cell is then not bombarded with people coming in. Because a lot of therapy is what? Primarily, it starts with listening. And with trust and listening circles गायब हो रहे हैं, और वो हम अगर पहले दें, और यही youngsters बहुत अच्छा peer learning करते हैं, सालों साल. And we learn with them, because we don't function in a top-down fashion. I have never seen counseling cell as the only need. So standalone counseling cells in various institutions either don't exist, they exist merely on paper, because the stigma hasn't gone away, though awareness exists. Now, what do our Disha coordinators do in that peer support? When they see that somebody has critical needs, because they have engaged with bonding, they suggest, would you like more help? And that's how we have footfalls. Because the stigma still remains. Nobody is going to just directly say, I have a problem, I need therapy. That happens very, very, few and far between. So this was just an illustration of how peer support can work for some of the so-called milder things, and sometimes even more complex things. So I have written, my students have written, and you all can search for articles on Google Scholar. Empowering people in self-care. So I would again urge new career professionals that let us not be so market-driven that we stop empowering people. See, people themselves will always have their inner resilience. And if we build that, you all said in the beginning, introduction, that you all want to increase more and more awareness. Some people are working around this, agreed. But we need more and more of empowering citizens themselves. And you can go to existing groups and then put in the mental health dimension so that they function as peer support or as community care. Okay? So it will not take away from our business if we are only full-time practitioners, because the critical needs people will still exist over and above. But if we equip people themselves, then we will genuinely have, mental health for all. Not if we keep, just allowing more and more people into curative space. And you can read more later on. I'll give a reference of my books where I've argued about all these things, used research, used case studies. So that is there, but this is what my work argues, that we need to become more and more gender, caste, religion, queer affirmative, sensitive in our practice. Whichever kind of training we are taking, अगर हम बहुत सारे लोगों को समझ ही नहीं पाएंगे, तो फिर हमारा भी ट्रेनिंग हमारे ही जैसे लोगों के लिए हम इस्तेमाल करेंगे, and that is barely a handful of people. And many others will remain unaddressed, जो आप तक पहुंच ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि उनकी अलग-अलग intersectional identities जब वो पहुंच जाते हैं, तब भी प्रैक्टिस में समझी नहीं जाती. या कम्युनिटी केयर में भी जो ये उलझने हैं कि ये कहाँ से आई है व्यक्ति या यहीं से है, बट उसकी धारणाएं क्या हैं वो अगर समझ ना पाएं तो आप उसकी मेंटल हेल्थ को एड्रेस नहीं कर पाते हो. तो अभी मैं आ रही थी कैब से यहाँ, तो उसका ही किस्सा है कि ऐसे लोगों को हम मेन स्ट्रीम में कैसे समझते हैं, मेन स्ट्रीम मेंटल हेल्थ, और मैंने क्या कोशिश की. सो आई सैट इन द कैब, द गूगल मैप वेंट ऑन, But after a minute, I start talking to them. So I asked this cab driver, कि मराठी और हिंदी. So he said, मराठी आती है, but मैं हिंदी में बात करता हूँ. I said, okay, तो मेरी हिंदी बहुत साफ है, तो चलिए बात करते हैं. So मैंने उनसे पूछा, आप कहाँ से हो? तो उन्होंने बताया, तो मैं पंजाबी हूँ, लेकिन ओरिजिनली हरियाणा से हूँ. और फिर हमारी बात आगे बढ़ी और उन्होंने बताया कि उनके जो पुरखे थे वो सारे पाकिस्तान से आए हुए थे और बाद में जो बहुत सारे रेफ्यूजीज रहे, तो उस वजह से पहले वो फरीदाबाद में रहे और फिर उसकी फैमिली यहाँ पुणे में है. ही इज़ हैप्पी विद पुणे. एंड आई सेड, हिंदी भी तो कितनी अलग अलग होती है ना, मध्य प्रदेश की अलग है, उत्तर प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, सो ऑन. एंड ही सेड, हाँ, फिर आपको क्या लगता है कौन सी हिंदी में बात होनी चाहिए? तो मैंने कहा कि हिंदुस्तानी. और इस बंदे को जो 10th स्टैंडर्ड पास है उसको पता था, क्योंकि उसी माहौल से वो आया है और उसके रिश्तेदार और घर वाले उसी माहौल में आज भी है. तो उसने कहा, हाँ, हिंदुस्तानी बेस्ट है, जिसमें हिंदी और उर्दू होती है. उसने कहा कि मैम प्लीज़ बुरा ना मानिए, आप कहाँ से हैं? एंड देन ही सेड अ लिटिल स्कैर्ड, ही सेड, यहाँ पे हिंदी तो बोलते हैं. आई सेड, हाँ, लेकिन मराठी हिंदी बोलते हैं, है ना, मैं ही कह देती हूँ. तो फिर उसने कहा, अच्छा, तो आप थोड़ी अलग ढलग लगी. और ये अलग ढलग क्या था? क्योंकि अलग अलग जगह में मैं रह चुकी हूँ. मेरे फादर आर्मी ऑफिसर थे और आफ्टर अ पॉइंट यहाँ की हूँ, लेकिन एक महाराष्ट्रियन इंडियन हूँ. तो इस बंदे से आधा घंटा बहुत सारी बातें हुई और वो आसानी से मेरे से बात कर चुका, क्योंकि मल्टी लैंग्वेज होना सिर्फ लैंग्वेज समझना नहीं है, उसकी जो तहजीब है जहाँ से वो आता है, one has bothered to understand in a multidisciplinary fashion. Otherwise, why would this guy speak to me? I came to know that he actually owns these cab services. He's done very well. He's quite industrious. And on a Saturday and Sunday, he gives chutti to his drivers and he takes a turn. Okay? And he said, I said, wow, so many things to learn, right? Those who want to start a mental health startup, हमने भी काम करना है, सारा डेलीगेट नहीं करना है. तो देखिए, एक इंसान से मिलके कितनी सारी सीख मिलती है अगर हम इस किस्म के एंगेज रहे. तो ये जो दरी है वो हम फिर हटा मिटा सकते हैं, उसकी कोशिश कर सकते हैं. तो माई वर्क हैज़ ऑलवेज बीन लाइक दैट, एंड दैट इज़ समथिंग आई वांटेड टू bring to you all, and I hope I was not as disjointed as the many ideas in my head. And in the allotted time, I think I've completed what I had to say. And I'll end with these references and take one or two questions. So these are two of my books, which are for South Asia, Multicultural India, Multicultural South Asia, and the World. And some of my arguments, substantiated by research practices from the field, are easily available, and you all can access them. अगर मैं आप तक पहुंची हूँ तो आप मुझे मॉडर्न कॉलेज गणेश खिंड ऑटोनमस में मैं बहुत घंटे तक रहती हूँ. काम जब तक ख़त्म न हो मुझे कोई जाने नहीं देता. आप मुझे वहाँ मिल सकते हो. और अगर ऑनलाइन कनेक्ट करना है तो ये मेरा मेल आईडी है और मैं सभी मेल्स को रिप्लाई करती हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे अच्छा लगता है कम्युनिकेशन. नहीं तो how do I talk about communication in mental health and remain inaccessible? So yeah, so you all can reach me in many ways, and I hope our engagement continues beyond this session. Thank you very much, one and all. Thank you very much. Ketki, I'd be happy to take just one or two questions, time permitting. Otherwise, it's like I came with my own package deal and I go back. So I know there are next speakers and they're waiting, but just a question and I'll be very brief. Yeah, sir, I hope you all don't mind. You all are the next people. Yes. We have time. So I've timed it well for a change. You know, as an educator, one is used to 2-hour sessions where there's group work, but I see this conference as a good place to connect with those whom I've not connected already. Yes.
Last.
Pandemic mantra, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question. As you have said that
Pardon?
I have a question,
Yeah.
which is as you have said that lots of colleges do have closed cabins for. Hello.
Huh.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So as you have said that lot of colleges have the couple of cabins, enclosed cabin for one-to-one counseling, but it's not so successful, and introduce the peer groups.
Support, yes.
So this peer group is only confined to psychology department, or suppose a department which is not related to liberal arts like psychology, but some other like engineering or other streams. So how you will try to make a kind of a peer group, and how you will train
Yes.
those students so that they can help each other and reduce the burden to the counselors?
Yeah, sure. Very important question. So we've done several trainings ourselves, my student teams and I, all of us as facilitators, and they have tried to run such peer support groups across institutions. It's possible, so you can approach me and we have a peer support training module which becomes accessible to students. What is required is the will to actually initiate it and sustain it. And that energy and power comes from students themselves, okay? Otherwise, it becomes just one more top-down thing. So definitely it can be run in other places. 5, 6 other places who approached us for training are trying to run it in a sustained fashion. And you can still have a professional counselor as well for the critical care. So it's possible you can send me a mail and I could send my team to train whoever wants to start it. And I don't go for a long time. My students and the other co-facilitators, I'm not required because the model is in place and I have just been the initiator. So I've written, you can read, you can access our website, my college website and our specific department. So you'll read what are the different kinds of experiments that we have done with Disha. But you're welcome to write to me. Yeah. So there was this question about peer support. Yeah, next. Yes.
Hi, ma'am. My question is, you said we should practice being more empathetic. Are there any ways that we can learn to be more empathetic, like any, let's say, methods that we should practice to be more empathetic?
हाँ ठीक है, इनको जो आंसर है मैं वो हिंदी में दूंगी. सो अगर हम फिर से थंब रूल्स बनाएं, हाँ, क्योंकि हमको आदत है ना टेम्पलेट्स और थंब रूल्स की, तो ठीक है, टू सिंपली सिंप्लीफाई इट, बीइंग मल्टीलिंगुअल बहुत ज़रूरी है. अगर आप मोनो होंगे तो उनसे ही एंगेज करेंगे, तो अलग अलग भाषाएं, और उसमें भाषाएं उनकी कल्चर के साथ, क्योंकि उससे सिर्फ भाषा निकाल दे तो फिर कल्चरली वो नहीं होगा अप्रोप्रिएट. तो मल्टीलिंगुअल होना, अलग अलग कल्चरल सब कल्चर्स को समझ लेना. फॉर इंस्टेंस हमारे यहाँ कोर्स है मल्टी कल्चरल साइकोलॉजी. देखिए सिर्फ क्लिनिकल कुछ काम का नहीं है, ये समझ लेना, और वो सबसे ऊपर है, ये भी मन से निकाल लेना. फिर बायोसाइकोसोशल कैसे होगा? तो आपकी जो एम्पैथेटिक प्रैक्टिस है वो मल्टीकल्चरल साइकोलॉजी से आएगी. मल्टी सब कुछ, मल्टीलिंगुअल होना. एंड ये मुश्किल नहीं है ना, हम रहते ही हैं. मैं हर ग्रुप में, ये अच्छा खासा मल्टीकल्चरल ग्रुप है, though we might speak in English right here. So to find out these things, intersectional things, और उस किस्म की एम्पैथी. नहीं तो जैसे मैंने समझाया, people like us जो सेम वेब सीरीज देखते हैं, सेम किस्म के कपड़े पहनते हैं, सेम इंस्टाग्राम इन्फ्लुएंसर्स को फॉलो करते हैं और लाइक, तो फिर क्या हो गया? पूरा क्लोज्ड हो गया. जो मैं एज अ जोक कहती हूँ, आई मी माई सेल्फ एंड माई मोबाइल, कंप्लीट. पेरिफेरी, फिर उससे बाहर जाना है तो वो एम्पथेटिक प्रैक्टिस होगी विथ पीपल हु आर नॉट लाइक अस. तो उसका फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल ये है, एम्पथी फॉर एंड विथ people who are not like me, and I am also stressed. So you must have got my perspective. It is liberal, humanist, feminist. So for me also practicing this with people with whom I disagree on so many counts, but I continue to respect them as fellow human beings and engage. So ये empathy practice से आती है, और अलग अलग ये पैरामीटर्स, आप थंब रूल्स मैंने 4-5 आपको बता दिए टू सिंप्लीफाई. या बट गुड, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज वी प्रिज्यूम एम्पथी, हमको आ गई, वो बहुत गड़बड़ है कि हर किस्म के लोगों के साथ. आई होप आई हैव आंसर्ड योर क्वेश्चन. यस, वन मोर. या आई विल यूज माय टाइम, डोंट वरी, नॉट एक्सीड. हाँ.
So this was related to the activity centers that you mentioned.
Yes.
Especially in the pandemic, what I sort of observed was that people for whom their homes are not safe spaces as such, so they could previously, before the pandemic, go to public spaces like parks or something like that. But during the pandemic, it was a curb on that restriction. So post pandemic now, what can we do in terms of infrastructure where people can just have a free or a sort of open access to spaces where they can just be if they do not want to be in their home or workspaces?
True. So we are aware that in Pune at least some parks remain. We'll actually have to do a survey area-wise, because thanks to real estate boom, almost every tree cover, now there are so many trees here, touch wood, in this campus. So we can look for such public places where right now, with due respect to them, laughter clubs operate. Due respect. But there, young psychologists could go as, your startup or whatever it is venture, because people are coming there. No? They go for a morning walk, and then they are going for yoga, or they are going to laughter clubs. So tap into that space. Tie up, use your negotiation skills, and you will find these community, setups. I'm also talking about really grassroots level, and that I can definitely tell you. For example, there is Safai Kamgar Sanghatna, Pune. Those who engage with those who are into this conservancy work. They have their own small setup, and they need us. But are we going to those low-income communities? So those spaces, as well as the middle and upper middle class spaces, you just take an observational round and you'll see people there. Last 3-4 years, people are going there again. So I go for a morning walk and jog around my area. So I'm very aware of my 5-kilometer radius, where are those community spaces. Another important thing, there are civil society initiatives in Pune. So there are some mohalla committees in some of the wards where some people are coming. So if you contact them, you will find 20-30 people, and you can give them a program. Yeah, because they need mental health initiatives, but they are not aware, or they are not reaching out to us. So there are many, many such ideas and many ways in which you can access people. It's possible. Yeah?
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, and then you can send me a mail and meet me. I can help you to design.
So just in line with what she said about empathy,
Yes.
our personality, when you said that multilingual and talking to people, but things such as, say, personality traits of introversion, for example, and another thing, say, xenophobia, which which sort of barricades us from people, and we don't really look at them as things to be worked upon, because it's like, मैं तो ऐसी ही हूँ. So, like, what would you say about that?
I guess majority of people sitting here are from my own discipline, psychology. How many? Please raise your hands, audience. Yeah. I'll give you a slanted answer. I was also trained like y'all in clinical psychology. I also believed in these templates and a whole lot of other stuff. We are primed that way. Nothing wrong with this huge, 100 plus years of mainstream understanding. Fair enough. But because my work has been on gender issues, in social psychology, and in community psychology, I started looking for other ways where then you are not lost in the introvert, extrovert, ambivert, because we forget the golden rule. Majority, even now, if we do a survey and take a test, right here in this auditorium, most of us are ambiverts, inclined towards introversion or extroversion most of the time. So as ambiverts, let us incline towards extroversion more, and with those who are not like us. Comes with training, comes with field work, comes with watching the right material. Good or bad, if you have watched 12th Fail, this movie, see, it gives you that intersectional approach. So उसमें का जो protagonist का जो भी है, the other guy, he says इनमें ये जज्बा है, ये motivation, देखो कितना psychology है इसमें, है ना? So we can use content. People like me actually had a chance to work in field-based organizations, Foundation for Research in Community Health, Masoom, where I was working in rural areas, semi-urban, which I continue to work. But even if that is not there, there is rich material which takes you on that pathway. My classrooms definitely take people on those pathways. My students will tell you, many of them are sitting here. So you can do it via training. It's possible. It's possible, provided I'm so happy that you all are receptive and people are saying, we want to question this, rethink. That's why I've come here. Okay? So we may be whatever, as per whatever test or classification, but we can always come out of that. These are not fixed identities. Why should they be? Their psychologists have been questioned by feminists and, queer researchers and so many others. So read this material. You can read a lot of material, including my book. So you'll find, because it's used by many organizations as a training guide now. Okay, so you can use and you'll get rich stuff. So please use that. You don't have to rely on only me as an individual. There are many things. But thank you for your question.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
think so as to avoid, the spiraling of sessions, I think I'll stop here and thank everybody again. But those who still want to meet, ask, engage, I'm available online and offline. So thank you everybody for filling me with some hope. Okay? Why is it that I agree to come to newer audiences? Because realizing the many, many things at stake in mental health, one doesn't want to feel burdened. And one can feel hopeful only if one sees allies. Allies, as I can see many people who've nodded while I was speaking. So thank you very much once again. Thank you. Have a very good conference.
Thank you so much, Nathu ma'am. I would like to request Shreya and Dr. Rupa to felicitate Nathu ma'am.